life. Just when you think you've got it figured out, it throws you a curveball,
Yeah.
right? A big one you absolutely didn't see coming.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where our deep dive starts today, with the moment an author's husband suddenly announced he wanted a separation after years together. It launched her into a year that became, as she puts it, practically devoid of men.
Mm.
But what she discovered in that year is far more than just a story of loss. It's a powerful exploration of how unexpected pain can be a catalyst for incredible personal and professional transformation.
We're pulling insights from Allison Carmen's book, A Year Without Men. It's a really unique blend, part personal narrative of navigating heartbreak, part weaving in her business experience, and part exploring powerful self-help concepts she used to, get through it.
And for you listening, our goal here is to extract the most valuable nuggets from her experience. We want to look at the tools and ideas she leaned on and learned to find resilience, to redefine what success and self-worth even mean, and to uncover possibility when your world feels completely uncertain. So yeah, let's dive in. That starting point, it's just gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
She describes the scene. They just had loving poems for each other's birthdays, sent the kids off to camp. She had supported him launching his business. And then he just said it.
Wow.
Her first words. You are joking with me, right? Said it twice because it was simply unbelievable.
It's that moment where your entire reality just splinters. She talks about searching his face, him looking away, and the quiet confirmation, I am serious. We need to separate. The shock, the suddenness, the lack of warning signs she perceived. It's incredibly jarring.
And the date he chose to move out, August 24th, their wedding anniversary.
Oh, no.
Can you imagine the layers of pain in that? She recounts going to her sister's house with her daughters that day, and upon entering the guest room, she just collapsed to the floor, took off her wedding ring.
Wow.
That physical reaction tells you everything about the depth of that moment.
It really shows how deeply the marriage was woven into the fabric of her identity and daily life. And this sudden shift fundamentally changed her environment, initiating what she came to call that year without men,
Right.
where her interactions and support systems became overwhelmingly female.
Which leads us to a crucial part of her story, how she found support and completely new environments.
Yeah.
Right in the midst of this personal chaos, this new professional path opened up. A part-time CFO role at the Motherhood Center.
This was serendipitous, wasn't it? The Motherhood Center is a really unique place, a mission-driven business that functions as like a day hospital for women struggling with perinatal mood disorders. The owner, Dr. Catherine Berndorf, is a leader in that field, and the author had become close friends with her.
And the atmosphere there, so different from her previous corporate world. She paints this picture of it being compassionate, empathetic, busy, necessary.
Yeah.
You get off the elevator, and the hall is full of baby carriages. It's soft colors, pink even, but staffed by what she calls female warriors,
Yeah.
literally saving mothers' lives.
It was a culture built on equality, kindness, understanding, dedicated to a critical mission. She dragged herself there in those early painful days, barely functioning.
I can only imagine.
And she describes turning to Dr. Berndorf between meetings, whispering, I feel like I am going to die. And Dr. Berndorf, calm and steady, would just say, you are not going to die, validating the pain, but, grounding her.
There's that sense that she was placed exactly where she needed to be, not just with Dr. Berndorf, who had navigated her own difficult separation from a business partner, but with a whole network.
Absolutely. She mentions working with a healer, Maria Soledad, for spiritual and energy work. Joan Herman, who hosted the radio show Conversations with Joan, became a real lifeline, offering the perspective of a successful woman who had also gone through divorce.
And her Reiki spiritual family, led by Kathy Towell, a group of women who simply held space for her pain and helped her process it. Plus, of course, her friends and her daughters who were navigating their own pain with remarkable bravery.
And a powerful connection she felt with the clients at the Motherhood Center. Their struggles with immense pain and uncertainty resonated so deeply with her own, fundamentally changing how she approached her work and her understanding of human suffering.
Okay, let's jump into the first major tool she highlights that helped her survive those initial days when the future seemed, well, unimaginable. The mindset of maybe.
This is such a crucial idea. It's rooted in the simple truth that we don't know the future. because it's unknown, it's inherently open to possibility. It's not about forced optimism exactly.
Right.
But acknowledging that uncertainty means things could change, could get better.
She uses that classic story about the farmer whose horse runs away, and everyone says, bad luck. He just says, maybe.
Yeah, I know that one.
The horse comes back with more horses, good luck.
Yeah.
Maybe. His son rides a new horse and breaks his leg, bad luck. Maybe. The army comes to draft soldiers, but can't take the boy with the broken leg, good luck. Maybe.
It's simple, but potent. It shows how any event, perceived as positive or negative in the moment, is just a point on a timeline with an unknown outcome. For her, in deep pain, this meant clinging to maybe.
Just holding on to it.
Maybe things get better. Maybe I can accept this new reality. Maybe I will find happiness again, even when it felt totally impossible.
She talks about listening back to her own podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering, where she'd said things like, uncertainty is our best friend, and how it felt like messages sent from a past self to help her future self through this very moment.
And it directly relates to taking that job at the Motherhood Center. She didn't necessarily wake up with a passion for CFO work, but the maybe mindset had positioned the center in her mind as a place of possibility. It was something new, something uncertain that pulled her forward when every instinct was probably to cling to the known past.
And there's that lovely moment with Dr. Berndorf using her book, The Gift of Maybe, as a mousepad. Dr. Berndorf looks at it and asks, do you think everyone has maybe? She answers, I know they do. And Dr. Berndorf's reply, then so do you.
That simple reflection from someone she admired provided a tiny crack of light. It didn't erase the pain, not at all, but it allowed a little hope to enter. It solidified maybe as a powerful tool for growth, resilience.
Yeah.
Reminding her and us to look beyond external expectations and find our own potential path in the face of uncertainty.
Moving from maybe, let's talk about acceptance, specifically problem acceptance. This one sounds easy, but it's deceptively difficult.
It really is. Acceptance is often misunderstood as giving up or saying you like something you hate. But the way she frames it, it's about tolerating or making peace with the reality of what is in the present moment.
Right. It doesn't mean you stop trying to change or improve the situation later.
Exactly. The key is accepting the fact that the problem exists right now.
Yeah.
She describes how we get stuck replaying problems like a, broken record.
Oh, definitely.
Think about business clients obsessing over lost deals, difficult employees, or missed opportunities. Or, in personal life, replaying breakup conversations or past regrets endlessly.
Yeah, that hamster wheel.
That dwelling keeps you trapped in the initial pain, fighting against the reality that this thing did happen.
So problem acceptance isn't liking it, wanting it, or abandoning efforts to change it. It's about reducing the pain now by accepting reality. It allows you to be present and open to what can be. Arguing with reality is just a painful distraction.
And she connects this brilliantly to the double standard women face with emotions in the workplace. Men can show anger, be rude, hold grudges, and their competence usually isn't questioned.
But if a woman shows strong emotion, even sadness or frustration, she's often labeled too emotional, told she doesn't have what it takes.
Right. She sees this as often rooted in sexism, arguing that women's emotional responses are frequently more thoughtful than, say, a man's explosive anger or stress reaction, which are also emotions, let's be clear.
Exactly. And this ties back to acceptance in business. Accepting a problem as a reality, rather than fighting the fact it exists, actually leads to more clarity and faster problem solving because you're no longer stuck in the broken record.
A simple way to check in with this is asking, can I change the fact that this situation is happening right now? Accepting the present pain allows it space to shift and evolve. Fighting against it just keeps you stuck in that same painful loop. Acceptance is the starting line for moving towards solutions.
Absolutely. You can't solve a problem you refuse to acknowledge exists in this moment.
Precisely.
Here's another powerful truth she uncovered, particularly through a legal negotiation. Just because someone says it doesn't make it true.
Ooh, I like this one.
She was negotiating a tough corporate agreement. Her opposing counsel was a Harvard-educated attorney, and she felt a bit of an inferiority complex as an Ivy League dropout. She strongly pushed back against a specific clause she felt was bad for her client. And his classic dismissive response, no one's ever had a problem with that provision before. Her immediate, brilliant reply, there's always a first time for everything.
Nice. Good for her. But she eventually won the point for her client, but she describes feeling emotionally drained and doubting herself afterward because his comment and his perceived authority had gotten under her skin.
It made her reflect on her past, like choosing to become a tax attorney because numbers don't lie,
Right.
seeking certainty. But even numbers didn't guarantee safety. People still got fired.
Right. Seeking external safety isn't always safe and can lead you away from your authentic path.
The big takeaway is that nobody inherently has more value or a monopoly on truth than you do. You have to learn to filter out the outside chatter, especially from those who seem to have authority, and figure out what resonates as true for yourself.
Yeah, trust your own gut.
Like if you feel undervalued at work, maybe you do need to improve a skill, but maybe again, the company's values don't align with yours. And the real truth is you need to find a different environment. Your inner voice is crucial for that discernment.
It's empowering to trust your own perception and judgment rather than automatically deferring to others based on their title or perceived status.
This leads beautifully into the tool about managing our reactions. Respond, don't react. She often quotes Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
Ah, yes, the pause. This is fundamental for navigating difficult emotions and interactions. A reaction is typically immediate, triggered by raw emotion like anger or fear, and often leads to impulsive actions that you might regret. It tends to escalate drama.
A response, on the other hand, is thoughtful. You acknowledge the feeling, but you create space before acting, choosing an action that serves your needs and leads to a better outcome.
She shares a really personal example. Cleaning out a drawer and finding a Valentine's Day card her husband never gave her.
Oof.
In the same drawer were their loving birthday poems exchanged just months before he left, his saying, "I love you more and more each day."
Finding that card alongside the poems ignited absolute consuming rage. Her immediate impulse was to unleash that fury in text messages to him.
Understandable impulse. But she paused, remembering that Frankl quote, asking herself, "How will my actions serve me?" This is where she developed the practice of self-texting.
Self-texting. Okay, explain that.
Instead of texting him her rage, she texted it to herself. She describes just unleashing it all into messages on her own phone. Getting it out, writing it down, helped release the intensity without engaging him in a toxic back and forth.
That's actually really smart. It honors the feeling without causing more damage.
Exactly. This allowed her to communicate with him later about logistics, kids, bills in a calm, responsive way, separating the necessary communication from the unproductive rage. It shows that having intense emotions is normal and valid.
Yeah.
The power comes from choosing how to process and express them.
It's about channeling that energy constructively, not destructively. She talks about the desire for revenge versus the desire to move forward, referencing a client who sat freezing in her car just to prevent her ex from using it.
Oh my goodness.
Again, the question is, how will this action serve you?
She also shows a fascinating accidental example, injuring her dominant hand. It wasn't severe, but it forced her to slow down and be more deliberate with simple tasks. This enforced pause bled into other areas.
How so?
When her daughter left a mess on the bathroom floor, instead of her usual automatic frustration, the slowness from her hand created just enough space for a thoughtful response.
Instead of reacting with annoyance, she calmly picked up the mess and later had a gentle conversation with her daughter about it. The physical limitation created the mental pause she needed.
It highlights that the space between stimulus and response doesn't have to be huge. It can be as simple as taking a deep breath, counting to 10, or focusing on a physical sensation to ground you before you react.
She offers practical questions to ask yourself in that space. Based on acceptance, what do I really need or want to do here? Will my reaction invite drama I don't want? How much does this actually matter to my larger goals? Does this situation change my value or path?
These questions help you consciously choose a response that moves you forward, rather than being pulled into a reactive spiral.
Building on that internal strength, let's talk about self-trust. She contrasts her own past tendency to trust others deeply, like her husband, while having shaky self-trust, with a client who trusted absolutely no one in business.
Yeah, two extremes. That client's approach was detrimental. By building walls and trusting no one, she lost employees, clients, and opportunities. Protecting herself from perceived threats became more important than building healthy relationships or taking necessary growth-oriented risks.
The author argues that it's trusting yourself that gives you the courage to fully live your life, to engage in healthy relationships, and take those calculated risks in business.
Because here's the reality. People will disappoint you. Trust will be broken. It happens. The critical piece is trusting yourself to navigate that pain, to survive it, and to find your way back to wholeness. If you don't trust yourself to handle disappointment, you keep your heart closed, miss opportunities, play it small, and end up mistrusting not just others, but life itself.
She sees self-trust as the foundation for being more centered, open-hearted, intuitive, making better decisions, and attracting better connections and opportunities.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Self-trust means you can weather any storm because you trust your own capacity. You don't need all the answers laid out beforehand. In fact, life becomes more exciting because of the uncertainty when you trust your ability to handle whatever comes your way.
She had a profound realization during her year. She had unconsciously relied on her husband being her safe harbor and didn't fully inhabit her own self-trust until she was navigating this alone. She sees this pattern in many women looking for safety in external structures like jobs or spouses, instead of cultivating that unwavering inner voice, often questioning their own potential because of external obstacles they face.
And navigating systems that aren't always equitable, like the business world can be, requires an absolutely unwavering trust in your own capability and worth to keep pushing forward.
For her, this self-trust wasn't just about professional resilience. It was the only way she could keep her heart open, move on from the pain, and potentially even be open to love again someday.
It's the deep knowing that you are capable of handling whatever life throws at you, which is incredibly freeing.
Speaking of navigating challenging systems, let's look at the experiences women face, particularly in the workplace, through the source's perspective. She notes that while statistics on inequality are stark, they don't capture the deeper story of who women become because of these experiences.
The source points to data like the low percentage of women-led businesses reaching high revenue thresholds, the tiny fraction of VC funding for women-only founders, and the disparities in follow-on funding. These figures, she notes, illustrate a persistent reality of inequality women face.
And she talks about the pressure women feel to contort themselves to fit in, try to be successful by changing who we are to get along.
Right. Yet, even making these compromises, the data shows the majority still don't reach the same levels of success as men.
Beyond obvious issues like harassment, she observes more subtle yet rampant behaviors, being overlooked for promotions, not being truly heard in meetings, facing biases when seeking funding. These, from her perspective, are pervasive challenges.
And she draws a contrast in how men versus women hide things. Men might retreat, disappear for long toilet breaks with a book, not discuss a midlife crisis openly.
Okay.
Women might hide emotions to avoid being seen as too emotional, undergo cosmetic surgeries to age gracefully, or menopausal women feeling pressured to hide that aspect of their lives, feeling less desirable. She observes these patterns.
And she argues that when women feel they have to suppress their emotions to succeed, fearing the too emotional label, it stifles creativity and innovation. The professional standard often isn't neutral. It's based on traditional male behavior.
But she highlights the Motherhood Center under Dr. Berndorf as a powerful counterexample. It was a place where hiding wasn't necessary. It was a different kind of culture, almost a matriarchy, she calls it, where schedules were flexible, feelings were acknowledged without excusing bad behavior, and respect was paramount.
It was an environment where she felt she could bring her full, authentic self and power to the table. It shows that creating supportive, equitable structures is possible.
Yeah.
Rather than women constantly having to adapt to inequitable ones.
Definitely.
This journey of showing up authentically connects to redefining beauty and self-worth, especially letting go of external validation. She talks about feeling ugly and rejected after her husband left, which forced her to question her definition of beauty.
She found a fascinating insight in a book and the dictionary definition. Beauty is that which gives the highest degree of pleasure to the senses or the mind, or pleasurably exalts the mind or spirit.
Okay.
Her reaction? What? Shock. Wait, beauty is what gives me pleasure, not what someone else finds pleasing or acceptable.
That completely challenged a lifetime of subconscious programming to conform to conventional standards for external acceptance, particularly from men.
And she acknowledges the pervasive influence of media airbrushed images, unattainable ideals leading to incredibly high rates of body dissatisfaction. Even images in seemingly positive spaces like yoga ads can reinforce physical ideals. She notes the beauty industry's historical roots and how it often promotes a narrow, male-dominated view of beauty.
She shared a moment seeing a woman in the park who fit the classic media standard tan, blonde, thin, toned, and her immediate, painful internal reaction. That's how I should look. How will men ever be attracted to me now?
But applying the real definition, what gives my sense as mind pleasure, shifted her perspective entirely. Looking at that woman gave her no more intrinsic pleasure than looking at a park bench or a building. That appearance, while conventionally admired, didn't represent beauty to her.
Wow, that's a huge shift.
It was a huge realization. What the world often labeled as beautiful had never truly resonated with her on a deep level. This awareness allowed her to start identifying what did feel beautiful to her, what felt authentic and whole.
It's not about judging anyone else's appearance, but about reclaiming the definition for yourself. This process significantly reduces self-inflicted suffering and rejection because you're no longer chasing an external, often unattainable standard.
Right. It underscores that beauty truly is in the eye of the beholder, your eye.
She suggests a simple exercise, focusing on body function over form. Instead of judging appearance, think, these arms help me write and drive and eat. They are beloved by me for what they do.
I like that. It shifts towards cultivating a feeling of beauty and peace from within, and a powerful mantra she uses before entering any room. I am everything I need to be, I am whole, and I am not looking for anyone to validate me.
That mantra ties valuing function over external form directly to inherent self-worth, which brings us back to self-worth. Letting external events, a boss's criticism, a job rejection make you feel inherently flawed is letting the outside world dictate your internal value.
Yes. Disappointments happen, but they shouldn't diminish who you are. She introduces a gentle maybe for moments of self-doubt. Maybe there's nothing wrong with me.
Just questioning that core doubt creates space to reflect on your intrinsic worth and feel a sense of wholeness.
She revisits that tough negotiation anecdote with the Harvard attorney through this lens, mentally repeating, maybe there's nothing wrong with me, during the challenging discussion, prevented her from getting pulled into self-doubt or worrying how he perceived her.
It kept her grounded and present, allowing her to be fully effective and powerful for her client. The external validation, a job offer from that very firm later on, was a result of her internal strength and self-worth during the negotiation, not the source of it.
The more you genuinely value yourself, the more your authentic self comes forward, enabling you to speak up, be heard, use your power, and find success that aligns with your definition.
Right. Wanting to make changes like losing weight or finding a different job is fine, but it doesn't mean your current self is any less valuable.
Ultimately, she concludes that healing from profound pain requires facing where you've hidden parts of yourself and choosing to completely love and value yourself, explicitly separating your worth from outside experiences and validations.
Let's turn to another brilliant tool, letting go and letting life in. She talks about this common human tendency to accumulate everything that happens throughout the day, stresses, arguments, tiny mishaps, and carry that weight into the next moment.
Oh yeah, the baggage. She shares Mark Nippo's story about his friend Robert trying to open a door while juggling groceries and cans of red paint, refusing to set anything down.
I think I know where this is going.
Of course, he falls and spills paint everywhere. The natural human sequence, as Nippo describes it, is gather, prepare, put down, enter. When we inevitably fail, our second chance is to learn how to fall, get up, and laugh.
We often resist that put-down step.
Yeah.
We carry the groceries, the paint, but also the unresolved arguments, the stress from a meeting, the small annoyances into the next interaction, the next room, the next moment.
Exactly. Carrying stress from work into a conversation with your family at home immediately taints that new moment. It doesn't get its own fresh start.
She suggests using physical doorways as conscious reminders throughout your day. As you pass through a doorway, ask yourself, what am I carrying from the previous space that I don't need for this space I'm entering?
Putting things down creates space for presence, for clearer decisions, for less anxiety. It allows you to see the uniqueness of the moment you're entering. While big issues might take conscious work to process, often the small things upset us because we're already burdened by layers of accumulated stuff.
Entering moments anew prevents you from missing opportunities. If you're carrying a past disagreement, you might shut down a chance for collaboration in a meeting. It's not about tolerating bad behavior from others, but about releasing your own unnecessary baggage.
It's about consciously choosing what you bring with you. Practices like gratitude can help identify what truly matters, making it easier to discern what baggage you can shed.
Letting go doesn't mean staying in a bad situation. It means removing the excess weight so you are more empowered to act, to build something new. Sometimes fighting every wrong isn't the path. Sometimes it's learning the lesson, letting go of that specific fight and putting your energy into creating a new structure.
So the put it down practice. Use gather, prepare, put down, enter as a simple mantra. Use doorways as triggers. And remember that falling, inevitably spilling the paint sometimes, is just part of being human. You can always get up and laugh.
It's about cultivating presence and intentionality in your daily movement through life. Okay, our final tool is dropping expectations. This one is a real happiness thief, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Expectations make us constantly compare our reality to how we think things should be, creating chronic dissatisfaction.
She gives this relatable example of taking her parents to a Japanese restaurant. They were so caught up in their expectations, it wasn't fancy enough, the sushi wasn't like they had in Florida, that they missed the simple pleasure of being together in that moment.
And she contrasts it with her own experience in a similar restaurant setting almost exactly a year earlier, right after her husband left. She was a mess, crying, couldn't eat.
Yeah.
Now, a year later, she was there, eating sushi deluxe, not crying, deliberately thinking this moment is enough. She felt present and truly blessed because she wasn't trapped by expectations of what the moment should be.
Much of her deepest pain, she realized, came not just from the separation, but from the unmet expectations about her husband, their shared future, their commitment. The event caused heartache, but dwelling on "it should have happened this way" became a broken idea that actively blocked her from seeing new possibilities.
This tool suggests allowing people to be who they are, rather than constantly expecting them to change. Unless it's an unsafe situation, of course. Dropping expectations clears your vision, helping you distinguish between pain from a real situation and pain from a broken idea about how things should be.
Like not getting a specific job. The pain of rejection is real, but telling yourself, "I should have gotten that job, therefore something is wrong with me," is the broken idea based on the expectation.
Right. The truth is simply that that wasn't the job, not that you are inherently flawed.
And in the context of relationships ending, the heartache of loss is real. But dwelling on the expected future you thought you'd have with that person becomes a broken idea that blocks you from moving forward, seeing new opportunities, or opening your heart to love again.
It encourages seeing people and situations in their full, multidimensional reality, not just through the lens of your expectations. If you can see both the challenging and positive aspects of a coworker or a job you stay in, it helps you navigate with more clarity, which requires that self-love and trust we talked about.
The profound insight is that life doesn't need to unfold exactly as you expected for it to be okay or even wonderful. Dropping those rigid expectations reveals your incredible strength and resilience, freeing you to live with an open heart for the unexpected gifts life might offer.
It's about embracing the present moment, whatever it holds, without the weight of comparison to an imagined ideal.
Bringing all these threads together, maybe acceptance, responding, self-trust, redefining worth, letting go, dropping expectations. It leads to this idea of building a completely new structure for your life.
Yeah.
It's letting go of the sold narrative of what your life was supposed to look like, evaluating what truly brings you joy and fulfillment, identifying structures that are no longer serving you, and deliberately building the life you want, even if it feels outside the traditional norms.
This isn't about hating men or relationships, she clarifies. It's about the personal journey of finding yourself so you can show up authentically, whether that's in pursuit of equality, personal fulfillment, or a deeper mission, all on your own terms.
Her journey was catalyzed by abrupt, intense pain, but our hope is that others can make these essential shifts and discoveries with more intention, ease, and grace by consciously applying these tools.
The year without men wasn't just about the absence of men in her daily life. It was what that absence revealed about the structures women navigate and what they often feel they have to sacrifice or hide instead of truly succeeding and thriving.
The core message she distills from it all: making the best of whatever life hands you comes from taking responsibility for your own life, learning the lessons embedded in challenges, and cultivating unconditional self-love.
And her final feeling, after navigating that year and integrating these tools? Hopeful. For herself, for her daughters, for women more broadly, and for the world.
It's worth noting, just briefly, how the acknowledgement section of her book serves as a testament to her point about support systems. It lists a whole network: her agent, editor, publisher, friends, family, healers, doctors, daughters. Even when doing deeply internal work, that external web of support was clearly vital.
It really underscores that you don't have to navigate the toughest times completely in isolation, that support matters.
So in this deep dive, we've walked through how Allison Carmen faced unexpected loss by intentionally turning inward, embracing powerful tools like the maybe mindset, problem acceptance, choosing response over reaction, cultivating unwavering self-trust, redefining beauty and self-worth on her own terms, learning to let go of baggage, and dropping rigid expectations.
These aren't reserved just for seismic life events. These are practical tools applicable to the daily stresses, professional challenges, personal interactions, and opportunities you encounter every single day. They offer a pathway to more clarity, greater resilience, and living more authentically.
As you think about this, consider how much of your current path is being quietly dictated by external expectations, by fears of the unknown, or by simply carrying around baggage from moments long past. What might truly become possible in your life personally and professionally if you fully embraced your own unique definition of success and beauty, grounded in unwavering self-trust and the incredible open power of maybe.